Let's talk about the three main ways to focus on getting in shape, because so many people think that they're going to press this magic button and suddenly they're going to build all this muscle and lose fat. And you have to understand that there's three core ways about approaching these things, right? One, I can go through a cut, all right, which for a lot of my clients recently, we've just gone through a 6-week challenge. A cut tends to be a little bit more restrictive. I'll drop my calories, make sure I'm back in a deficit. Sometimes to get into that deficit, I'll also increase my cardio to make sure, again, that I'm able to lose more weight as well as more fat, all right? The most important thing there is making sure that I'm hitting my macros the right way so that I don't lose too much muscle, all right? The other thing that we can do in the other approach is obviously a bulk, right? Where I'm focusing on strength, which means I need more energy, which means I need more food, which means often I need more carbs and increase in calories, okay? I'm not worried so much about fat loss during this period. I'm worried or more focused on strength and increasing load, increasing reps, increasing volume in order to be able to increase lean mass. All right. The trickiest one and the one that everybody wants is recomp. All right. Recomposition, where I am able to increase lean mass while I drop fat. Now, this is possible. It is also the holy grail in terms of what everybody is after. But you have to understand that it is the hardest thing to pull off in a short time frame. So in other words, for you to be able to achieve what it is that you want, which is increasing lean mass, which will increase your metabolism, increase the amount of body fat that you burn at rest, and to drop fat at the same time, it's a very, not tricky, you need to be very smart in your approach. You need to be able to plan things in a way where this is a long-term approach, right? I'm able to adjust my calories and my macros very slightly throughout a longer period to be able to achieve both, all right? Often you'll find that you'll feel like you're at a plateau when you're going through a recomposition because, again, the body is recompositioning, right? Your measurements will look like they're the same. Your clothes might feel like they're the same. You're looking in the mirror sometimes and it's hard to necessarily see the change until, right? And the until is the cool part because it's the small percentage of people that ever get to experience that until because they're not willing to go through the period. They're not willing to put in the work long enough to achieve that, where suddenly now measurements are the same, but I'm carrying a lot more lean mass as my fat continues to drop. My weight is hardly changing throughout this process, which for a lot of people can be a head fuck. It's why a lot of people don't last, especially a lot of people that are attached to the scale, because everybody's body is different. Everybody's macronutrient need is different. Your ability to process carbs versus protein and fat is different. So it has to be a customized approach for each individual. And you have to be willing to read the data, to measure things, to track things in a way where you can make those adjustments relative to you and what's happening with your progress, all right? For me, I tend to be somebody that can do really well on low carb, right? Like I don't find I struggle energy-wise, but I lose muscle very quickly. So for me, it's a very tricky ratio of being able to increase lean muscle mass, keeping my carbs where I want it to be, but making sure that I keep my body fat where I need it to be as well, or where I prefer it to be. So for me, again, I love the recomp because it's the long game. It's how you're going to be able to achieve everything that you want while increasing your metabolism, dropping the amount of body fat, keeping your hormones at a good level, and being able to also maintain these results long term while eating like a decent human being, right? Not having to restrict, still being able to live life the way that you want to, but ultimately ending up with the results that everybody wants. But you gotta be willing to play the long game. That's the difference, and that's why I wanted to share the three different approaches with you. Now, the last thing that I will say with all three, a good thing to include in a recomp, right, is different periods where you might bulk, you might carb cycle, and you might cut. All right, because again, making sure that the body never gets used to things for too long is really important. So increasing calories for 2 to 4 weeks, decreasing calories for 2 to 4 weeks, playing with your macros over this time to make sure that again, body's, adapting to what's going on. Having periods where you do no cardio at all, right? Then having other periods where you'll increase your cardio and make sure again that I add in some intervals, I add in some slow, steady state, do all these different things to make the body adapt and adjust is how you're gonna end up with the best results possible.